Okay, and we're live. Welcome
Hey
to
guys.
the Tonari Animation Podcast, Beast. I think this is going to be
Okay.
a fun conversation. Um,
So
so,
Jared, thank you.
so just to start, I kind of wanted for people. I think a lot of people do know you already, but for people that don't know you, do you mind talking a little bit about your background? What got you into drawing, or what got you into animation?
Yeah, well, hello guys. I'm Beast. I'm a freelance animator. I began working on animation like professionally about like 2 years ago on anime. But I've been an animator for like around 5 or maybe 7 years. Yeah, since I got out of the university because I went to university for animation. Before that, I was doing like totally different thing. I was getting a major in economics,
Oh, interesting.
but yeah, I got kind of bored, and I wasn't that good at math. So I decided I was going to, if I was going to spend that many years on university, I was going to spend them doing something I liked. So I
So,
I I changed to animation.
did you learn how to do 2D animation in college?
Yeah, indeed.
Really?
I heard like many of the colleges or of the schools that teach animation lately, like they don't teach that much 2D, like hand drawn 2D. Maybe they teach like Toon Boom rigs or something like that.
Yeah.
My college was kind of special because we had a lot of people from like uh, older generations, people from Disney and that had worked for Europe, for European animation. So
Oh, that's cool.
it, yeah, it was really cool. We had access to a lot of experienced people.
So you got to learn
Uh,
some of the kind of classical animation training stuff, like about timing and X sheet. Like, did they teach you about X sheets and stuff like that?
yeah, totally.
Really? Hmm.
We began uh, drawing on paper. We had like this big room with several dozens of light tables and the machine to punch the paper with the Acme pegs,
Hmm.
uh, which I have today. I have that machine in my house because they got rid of it and
Oh wow.
I got it.
I kind of want to get one.
Yeah, yeah,
I want
they
to I want to
are
try doing a cut of
crazy
anime
expensive.
on the light table. I might just build
Yeah,
one.
but I think now they sell like some portable ones. Have you
Hmm.
seen them?
Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah, we when I was in
Yeah.
college, I made an animation club and we bought like four little light tables. They're little, but you
Hmm.
sit them on top of the table, and then we would just tape the peg bars to the top.
Yeah.
And those were
I
like I
would.
think $30 each or something like that.
Yeah, I have one too, like a LED light table. But yeah, we had the equipment at the time,
Hmm.
and we learned about timesheets, though it was like very Western ways to fill the timesheet.
Yeah.
Um, but it is basically the same. Uh, you just change like the uh, way you draw certain things on the timesheet, but the principle is basically the same. So I had that knowledge, a bit of that knowledge before getting into anime, and it made it a lot easier.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that a lot of the freelance animators are missing right now is like that classic like animation training. Since everyone's kind of figuring everything out on their own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but even though I was very surprised when I kind of got into the community, even the younger people they knew a lot and they taught me a lot. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
Like, uh, oh, I was the one that asked the most stupid questions when I was just beginning, and people taught me a lot.
Yeah. Where were you meeting people that were already in that were helping you out?
On I was on uh, the striving
Discord.
Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I began like my journey into anime watching your your podcast of striving,
Oh yeah.
uh, those tutorials you had with Will, like,
Yeah, that's
and then
crazy.
I got, yeah, I never thought I was going to be part of one of those when I was watching those.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got into the community on the site, and then on the Discord, and the people over there basically taught me all. Uh, I got my first job, which was uh, which was Black Clover, one of the Black Clover episodes, and I did terrible, and they they helped me to correct all my mistakes, and well, basically they keep helping me all the time, and I try to help too, especially when there's new people getting
Yeah.
into the community.
Back I think a few years ago I tried making that Sakuga Foundry forum because there was no like striving was kind of where I ended up also gaining all of my like knowledge and stuff. But one thing that I felt like the internet was missing was a forum for so we tried making that forum. Um and I remember you were
Hmm.
participating in that quite a bit. You had a pretty long running uh thread about uh helping people learn kind
Uh,
of information and stuff. Uh
the Q&A we did,
yeah, I think there was
I
one on
did
there.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was like after I got the the job, because it was like, yeah, okay, I'm already working. I started here in this forum just like you, and I'm now working on it, and
yeah,
ask me anything so I can help you.
yeah, it seemed
Uh,
that more people were getting benefit from the Discord as opposed to the forum. Uh, what what did you think about whenever we switched Sakuga Foundry over to a Discord?
um, uh, I remember. I don't know if it was switched. I really didn't know. I mean, I switched. I jumped from the forum to the Discord, and it was very different because most of the professionals were actually on the Discord, and the level of knowledge and experience was on another level.
Yeah, yeah, it seemed like a lot more people ended up being more active there because I think a lot of the newer animators, the only ingredient that they're missing is getting involved in like some sort of community of animators so that they have someone to learn from. Especially because it's really hard to learn all the information you need for anime just from what's on the internet.
Yeah, yeah, it's not that easy getting in there without the help of people who's already been there. Um,
Yeah,
uh, some people maybe get stuck because of the language barrier. I mean, I could speak some English and read some English, so I was able to get into the forum, but maybe a lot of people not able, even especially if, with the Japanese, or not all of the Japanese. I don't know anything about Japanese.
have you
So
have you learned
not
anything yet?
the I can read most of the notations, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I can read sometimes the messages with the producers, even though I have made a couple of big mistakes, which I tried to correct immediately. The other day, I confused the name of a producer, and I
Oh,
called him the other way, and I was like, "Oh no!" I'm sorry. I got confused in the translator. Oh no, I don't mind. She told me.
Yeah.
They're very nice, thank God.
Yeah, there's some
Yeah.
things that get me with Japanese too. Is there's a lot of words that have similar meanings in English that don't work in Japanese. Like, uh, if you translate the word availability into Japanese,
Mm-hmm.
it like turns into like the way you're supposed to say it is like you have air or you have space like in Japanese. So you say like sora,
Oh.
but for some reason sometimes when I translated it, it comes out the other end as like I have a lot of free space around me, not free time. Like,
I get
yeah,
it.
there's like all kinds of stuff like that in Japanese, which makes it confusing. So I
Bro-
started to try to. That's one of the reasons we brought Sakami on, because he speaks Japanese and
Mhm.
he could prevent
Yeah,
those kinds of embarrassment things from happening.
I've probably made that mistake 100 times. Yeah, I just trust the double translation. Like I translated one time and then I translated again back to see if the message is kind of the same, and
Yeah,
if it is good enough, I just send it.
yeah,
Sure, they all understand.
yeah. Something I'm kind of curious about. So, you brought this up a little while ago about wanting to do some workshops on
Hmm?
timing. Would you say
Oh,
that
yeah.
not knowing how to use timing charts is like one of the major things that the freelance animators are missing right now? Because like I still don't even use them because like I don't really know how to like I know generally how to properly use them, but I only use them in an instance where it's like,
Mm.
okay, I don't think the in betweener will know exactly where to space this out. So like the I only ever do time charts like when a character stops moving and then I need like their hair to like decelerate when they stop moving. But aside from that, I don't really tend to use it, and I just leave it up to the Doga person.
Mhm. Yeah, I personally tend to trust the in between people, the in betweeners, because they are there for a reason. Uh, because, for example, I learned all of this when I was working on a local movie at the time when I just got out of college. I was working on a movie, and animators did this. They didn't trust the in betweener people, so they drew all of the the frames themselves. They didn't do the spacing charts and all of
Oh
that.
yeah.
So when there were corrections, I mean, first of all, it took a lot of time to do their cuts. And instead of doing, I don't know, 10 drawings, they did 25.
Mm-hmm.
They took a lot of time. They sent it to the animation director, and the animation director said, "No, this is not right. Do it again."
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't just lose 10 drawings. You lose 25 drawings, and you have to do them again. So uh, the process uh, and those stages on the pipeline are important.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that lesson kind of uh, learned that lesson very well. So yeah, I've noticed, for example, on the newer people on the studio, that they do this a lot. They draw a lot, and when I had to correct their cuts, retiming them, for example, it was a nightmare because there
Yeah.
were so many drawings and maybe sometimes many layers and things, and I was like, oh my god, it's going to take me forever. Like,
Yeah.
it would be so much easier if they just did, for example, a normal walk, because walks, we already know how to do walks, but they invented them all over again. A lot of drawings, and I was like, oh no, this again.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah, I
think.
think it would be useful to teach some of the newer people how to do more standard work for
Mm-hmm.
the sake of everyone on the production.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Um, I guess the
Mhm.
problem is like not having a solid resource for how to do a standard walk cycle. I guess that it does exist, like in Richard Williams' book, um, but his walk cycles are all really cartoony, where the characters are
But
like really like bouncy and stuff. Or in like anime,
me,
the walk cycles are a little more muted.
I think it depends. I mean, me, for example, I'm 100% Richard Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Like even for anime, 100% Richard Williams, and his most basic walk cycle is passing position and contact position. You time them and you do the the spacing chart and you're done.
Mm-hmm. Apparently,
More people.
did you ever hear that the walk like the standard anime walk cycle is actually just 2 frames, and they just do contact,
Yeah,
contact, contact, and then everything else is left to the doga person.
yeah, I've heard about that. But even though I do the passing position, like the one
Mm-hmm.
with the middle when the head is a bit taller
Yeah.
than the other two positions, I still give them that one
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know, maybe I don't know if it is too much work for them, like to guess that position, or maybe it helps me. I don't know, but I still do the three positions for a normal walk.
Yeah. So you do contact, passing, contact.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems pretty. I think there's a lot of animations that have that kind of formula answer that a lot of the people that are self-taught don't have. Um,
Like I even when I was like a year into anime, I was getting a bit bored because I found all of the cuts were kind of very simple. Like, okay, passing position, like contact, and uh, I don't know, if you're gonna turn the head, like you close the eyes, and it was everything very formulaic. Uh, but that also helped to do the work faster,
yeah.
and it made everyone lives easier.
Yeah. So how do you handle action stuff then? Because with the action scenes, you don't really have so much of a formula solution, or maybe you do. I don't know.
Yeah, I still try to do the things on the, like, with the formula. We were talking about Richard Williams, and Richard Williams said, like, if you're going to do like anything super complex, you can always follow these steps. Like, do your keys, like tell the story with these drawings, then do your extremes and your
Mm-hmm.
breakdowns, and especially on action cuts, which are very complex, and many people get lost on the action. I don't know how many poses I should do for this because it is so complex. If you do this in order from the beginning, it's going to be a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime I've done action, I don't know how to do straight ahead animation, so I don't do the like Sakuga style, like just no no limits. Like what I'll just do is I'll just go from pose to pose to pose, and then start drawing the breakdowns between those. Um, it doesn't look as fancy, I guess, at the end, but it takes a lot less time.
Yeah, but there are tricks. Like you do the action, the main action, pose to pose, but everything that's above the main action, I don't know, the hair, the clothes, and everything that's moving, you do it straight ahead, and it looks very good. That's what I do most of the time. Like the hair of my characters, like always like flaps very fast, and that kind of compensates
Yeah.
the poses of the body. It works. I think it works. At least they still they still asked me for action cuts, so I'm not ruining them doing that.
On Black Clover, that sequence that you did, was there, like, I don't know about you, but like for on my side, on the cuts that I got, the boards were really loose, and I originally followed the boards straight as they were drawn, and then I got a retake on it because the director's like, it's like you didn't have to follow the boards, you could have just done whatever you wanted really here. Did you have any cuts in your sequences that were like do whatever you want, or?
Um, I don't think so. We were talking about when Yami fights the demon
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Yeah. No, mine actually were. I mean, the drawings were pretty loose. The action was pretty clear.
Mm.
I even had a lot of manga panels, especially the one with the
Oh yeah,
the cut
the
with the
close up.
dimensional cut. Yeah,
Yeah.
and all of that. Those were all manga panels. So I knew pretty much what to do or uh, to express.
Mm-hmm.
I had the freedom, for example, could do Jammy like breathing heavily and do all of these layers, so it looked good. Um, Overall, it was pretty clear for me. I don't remember the parts that you had to do on the storyboards.
Yeah, I did the second. I think it was the second time he used that like wind stab.
Oh
So
yeah,
you did the first one, and then after that, he hits Dante, fuses back together, and then Yami has to stab him again, and then he transforms into the bigger demon.
yeah. I
So I
remember
did
now.
the
You
sequence when he transforms into the bigger demon.
remember that cut with the you had like an arm or a hand that had a like a pan over it.
Yeah,
Is it?
yeah. I originally did a Sakuga pan on that, and then they ditched it, and then just did a
No.
because they ran out of time.
Yeah,
They ended up just drawing Dante once big, and then just panned around his body.
the
Which
deadline for that uh, episode was very tight. Like I didn't believe when they told me.
yeah, yeah. And then I think we finished layout like a week before the episode came out, and then they at least from the Tonari side. I don't know if you were working freelance. I think on that one.
Yeah,
But
I was freelance, but I was with you.
oh yeah, yeah. So we
I
turned it
was
in
in the
a
forum
week.
with everyone.
Yeah, a week
Yeah.
later, they had the full color, and I was like, wow, how did they do that? Okay, I gotta answer some stuff in chat really quick. Is Striving still operating? Striving is still operating, but it kind of split off of Tonari. So, Will and Maxi are the ones running it now. So you have to contact them.
I have like more questions here on the chat.
Yeah. How do you find the motivation to work on animation? Because sometimes I find myself lacking it after working on a tedious cut or project.
Oh, I just keep working.
Yeah.
I mean, animation now, especially anime, is my full-time job basically. So I have to keep working to eat. But
Yeah, that's
yeah,
a good way to
sometimes
motivate yourself.
yeah, sometimes I get tired like everyone. In fact, I'm like resting for some days because I'm getting out of a very bad burnout. But I know I have to go back to work in like I don't know a week or 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and I still get like cool projects to work on and cool characters to draw. That's always like very nice. And I'm trying to manage my time better. Like if you mismanage your time, uh, you're gonna get burnout totally.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get better at that so I can keep working without dying.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know like how I'll definitely hit parts where I'm like, okay, I don't want to work on this anymore. I think I just try to like I guess you could say I'm really lazy, so I'll just find like the shortest path to get it finished. I'll be like, okay, I could draw every single one of these frames, or I could just draw 5 or 3 key poses and some in between breakdowns. And then something I've been experimenting with lately is instead of drawing my background layouts, it's like just
Mm.
watercoloring them or like painting them.
Oh,
Because
that's interesting.
you can express textures a lot faster with the paint than you can with the pencil. Because like if you're drawing like
Yeah.
if you're drawing like a patch of dirt
Mm.
with a pencil, the only way you can express that is by drawing little like bumps and ridges and pebbles and rocks sticking out or pieces of grass. But if you're painting it, you can just cover the whole thing in a gradient and then just like texture, and it's like, okay, this is dirt. And so far it's been a lot faster to do backgrounds like that.
Do you still do like the perspective grid on it when you do that?
No. The
Okay.
I'll use the texture to create the perspective.
Mm.
So like it'll get
Okay.
denser and blurrier the further away it gets.
Yeah, I get it. That's interesting. I personally like I try to get the perspective grid at least.
Mm-hmm.
I have some time like painted skies, for example. When a character is just a character and the sky, I try to use like for example the clouds to do some kind of composition and make the cut a little better.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I like using like that's one thing that I feel like people don't utilize enough is that if the backgrounds aren't determined for you already, you can use the backgrounds to really improve the composition. Like that's one of the things I like doing the most. Like you can I just did a sequence on Blue Reflection where there was like all of these been like fallen over skyscrapers and stuff, and I got to use the vectors of the side of the skyscraper to kind of draw attention to that what's happening in the scene. Like you can use these lines to kind of draw the eye around the image.
oh,
Which is kind of
very
fun.
cool.
But you only get to do that on cuts that have like a weird abstract kind of background instead of like a specific setting. But even then, like with clouds, you kind of have the freedom. A bit,
Yeah,
like what you were saying.
at least I've had luck to work with decent storyboards. I have seen terrible storyboards when you cannot like understand what's happening, and and most of the time when I get those, I say, okay, I'll do them, and some things happen. I don't have to do the job after that. Like,
oh yeah.
It's been, I don't know if it's luck or something, but yeah, sometimes happens.
Do you use 3D programs to? Oh wait, I still wanted to talk a bit more about this. That last question about finding motivation to work.
Okay.
I think the best there's tricks you can do to like make yourself work. Like even if you're like I don't want to work right now, just get onto your computer, open up the software, and then open up what you want to work on and just look at it for a second. You don't have to work, like no pressure. But if, like 9 times out of 10, you'll probably walk back into your like your office or computer desk and just start working because you're like, oh, it's already open. It's like convenient. If you like kind of remove those barriers, like oh, you know, I gotta open up the software, I gotta download the cut folder, I gotta do this and that. Like as long as if you get rid of that stuff that prevents you from working, then it's easier to motivate yourself. I feel like.
Remember some other thing I do. I don't want to work. I do kind of the same. I open the file I'm supposed to be working on, but I like, for example, when I want to practice something, I like to copy or trace some other animations or something. So I open one of those and I do that
Mm.
that for, I don't know, 20 minutes or 30 minutes. After that, I have kind of the energy to work on the thing I should be working on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because once you're like in the zone, then you can just work for hours and hours. But getting into the zone is
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
hard
that
part.
helps. Helps. Uh, Someone is asking me here about Mushoku Tensei. Can I answer that, or
I
do we wait?
I think we need to wait because
for-
the I don't think the episode came. Oh, did you already work on? Did that episode come out already?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It
okay.
came
I
out.
didn't know you already worked on Mushoku.
Yeah, I'm working 2 episodes
Oh,
before the one we were talking about the
okay.
other day.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Mushoku
fine.
Tensei, Mushoku Tensei was really fun because I knew it was going to be like a super famous series, and I was like very excited. The model cheats for Mushoku Tensei were great, at least the ones I got. Uh, and the part I got, which was like this part where they are on a cave and they cut the head of one of the monsters. Uh, Also, I gave my best to make it as creepy as possible, and the PA was happy with the results, so it was very nice. Yeah. Also, I got to do the second key of those cuts too, which I don't do much lately, because it takes too much time. Uh, Lately, if I do like the second key of my cuts, I I'll spend a lot of time on those.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was on Mushoku Tensei, I did that second key, and the experience of learning from the second and the soul seconds was very, very good. Yeah.
Um, this is kind of like made me think. So there's this discussion that I'm kind of having with people, I guess with myself too. Uh, Something a PA told me recently that really threw me off was like, professional Japanese animators will do like 10 cuts per day within an 8-hour work period.
Yeah, I've
And
heard
I'm
that.
like,
Like,
wow, I'm like, how? And
yeah,
I
well,
think it's because they just, I don't know, maybe, I don't know how they do it, but I think they're just really efficient at what they do. They know exactly what the solution is to the problem when they go in, and they don't try to like overdo
y-
anything. They just do it at the
I don't,
minimum that is needed.
it was a PA from. Can we say the studio or no? Better not.
Yeah, probably not.
Uh, yeah, but yeah, I saw that conversation. And I was like, what? What? How do they do 10 cuts? Like, I have listened, like the record for a very good animator was like 7.
Mm-hmm.
My record is like 4.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think it really depends on the kind of cuts the studio is asking the animators to do. Like,
Yeah.
if it is just mouth flaps or things like that, yeah, I could imagine doing more than 4 at least.
Yeah. Yeah. I
But
mean, if it's just flip flops, the cut itself would take like, depending on how hard the character is to draw, between like 30 minutes to an hour. I feel like if it's just lip flaps with no hair moving, um,
yeah, uh,
and I could see doing like 8 or 9 of those. But like throwing an
yeah,
action scene in the mix would make it really difficult. But what brought this point up was I was asking their opinion about the pay disparity between Western animators and Japanese animators. And I was like, okay,
mhm,
some Western animators make $60 an hour, and Japanese animators are lucky to make $60 a day. And
mm.
then the PA was like, no, it's easy for Japanese animators to make more than 60 a day. And I'm like,
What?
okay. And then they're like, yeah, if you did 10 cuts a day, even at 22,000 yen per cut, that's, let's see,
Yeah,
10 times 2,000. So it'd be $200 a day or something.
Yeah, I imagine, but I mean, sounds very foreign to me.
Yeah.
But I can't believe it. And working on paper is also a bit faster. Like
Yeah, I
I've
think
worked on
that's definitely a theory.
everything, like on paper, on normal tablet, on a pen display. Display is almost as fast as paper, but paper is still a bit faster.
Yeah, I could imagine if you're in studio and you don't have to scan your own stuff and someone just
Yeah.
hands you like you go to your desk and they've got folders stacked up and these are what you're supposed to work on. I could see that being easy because you just pull it out and just start working on the paper. Like I think that
Yeah.
we feel like it's easier to work on digital because we have like all these like we have Control Z, we have lasso tools, but I think what happens is we end up relying on those things and then we end up hitting Control Z or Control T, like transforming and moving things around. Like you can't do that on paper, so you like it's a waste. That's like if you drew it wrong, like you're just better off throwing the piece of paper away instead of like trying to sit there and
Yeah.
erase everything and move it around.
I still erased quite a lot on paper, but yeah. But I still think the main reason is what the studio is asking you to do. Because even if, for example, I've worked on several studios, and even if it is a tome or something, a minute detail is off their eyes, they'll make you retake it. Like
Wow.
so you cannot take an hour to do the cut. You have to take, I don't know, 3 hours, because they will retake every single like mistake
Yeah,
you do.
I've never done any work where they required a retake on a tiny detail. That it's usually just been like uh I would get a retake if the boards were interpreted incorrectly or something where like oh this character is supposed to be in this position and you drew a different character there and they'd be like okay you got to retake that because that's not the right character. um Stuff like that I've gotten retakes on, but in terms of like
Yeah.
if I forget to put in like a highlight or something.
In my experience, the more like people have this in their minds, like this studio is like a lot more detailed than this other studio. I can't say which ones, but people kind of know which studios are.
Mm-hmm.
Those are uh, very tough sometimes to work with. Like this is just an example. I had like this cut with this character doing like a kind of action thing with several poses, and it was pretty on model. Like um, the background was okay, but in the background there were horses,
Mm.
and these horses, the face of the horses was not exactly like the face of the horses on one of the uh, on the model sheet, so they made me retake the whole cut because of the face
What
of the horses that were in the background, and I was like,
was it? Was it a
I
high
could have
budget
done.
production or was it low budget?
I think it looks pretty high budget, but
I have a theory
no,
that
I
the lower budget productions are the ones that require more retakes because they're basically wanting to get I don't know if I should say it like this, but if like almost like they're wanting to get free work. So they don't want the Sakans to do as much, or they don't want to pay a Sakan, and they'd rather just pay you to or they'll just tell you you did it wrong and then make you retake it without
yeah.
like they don't pay usually for retakes.
Now that you mention it, I've worked on my first retake was from a low budget series,
Mm-hmm.
and the retake were like the hand of this character should be like, I don't know, a few millimeters this direction. I was like, couldn't you just let the second do this?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I can understand what you're saying about that.
Yeah, because I think there are some productions out there where they'll go almost from layout straight to color, or they'll just go straight to Doga off of layout if it's like a low budget
Yeah,
production.
if they are like really rushing it. I got into a production lately that was extremely rushed. Like we finished the thing the day before it was aired. Like
Layout?
I don't know, 3 days before, uh, 4 days before the airing, we were still doing layout.
Yeah, that's
So
crazy.
some of the some of the layout just went directly to
To color.
second key. We
Or
still
second key?
did
Oh, okay.
second key, but no second.
Yeah.
And the PA just look at it. Oh, it's okay. Do second key on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can happen.
There's a chat question here. Which anime scenes have you enjoyed working on the most, and which are you the most proud of?
Mm. I really like when the PAs like trust me with some important scenes, like story wise. When it's something important from the manga, for example,
Mm-hmm.
they say, this guy can do it, and I was like, no, I can't, but I'll do it anyway. I'll do my best. Yeah, that's very fun. Like for example, the Black Clover ones,
Yeah.
or the One Piece one, which was like very very important.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah, if you ever watched any of the reaction videos of that episode, the place where people freak out the most is during your section, because it's like
yeah,
it's a plot climax, and then the animation like improves too.
I have watched the the reaction videos. They're very very good.
Yeah.
um, and even if I really enjoy doing action, but I also like doing comedy. And
Yeah,
for
comedy.
example, the cuts I did for Zombieland Saga, I enjoyed them a lot. They were very very funny.
That's the one where my is like
Yeah,
wandering around in the mummy outfit or whatever, or she's wrapped up. Everyone's freaking out.
It
Is that you?
was when it was after she woke up and they were like on the living room, and we had
and they were talking.
And Kotaro was like hyperventilating because because Mai had discovered them.
Yeah, so
it was
she
really,
found out
really
that they were
fun.
zombies. Yeah.
And she was like, okay, I don't mind. Like, you're idols, I love you. And the guy was just dying. Like, it was really really fun. I really enjoyed doing that one.
Yeah, my first anime sequence was comedy on Black Clover, and it was really fun. It was
Remember
like
that one?
It was like Charlotte freaking out because Yami was in her room.
And you had something like a rock falling on her head.
Yeah. I had impact frames in there originally, and they got rid of them.
I remember you talking about that one.
Yeah. But one thing that's been cool is like some productions have been taking impact frames, like Toei. They'll keep impact frames if you put them in. I think on certain shows for Period they will, or certain episodes, like if it's a big fight sequence. But
yeah, I think it really depends on maybe in the second. I don't know.
Or Enshitsu, because it might.
Yeah. For example, the sequences I did on Boruto, I remember the PA just asked me like, do something cool, do something very cool with it, and it
Mm-hmm.
was like lightnings, like a lot of lightnings. So on the lightning impact, I had some impact frames, and I spent like a lot of time doing them and making them pretty, and they just dropped them all, and I was very very sad. But but yeah, I don't know. It depends on a lot of things. Some maybe they are hard to clean after, and they don't have the time, so they just drop them. I think that's what happened on that episode.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, no, I don't know if I could point like a specific reason keeping them or leaving them behind.
Espin in chat is asking. He read your Q&A on the forum,
Hmm.
and he said you recommended specific books about the natural way of drawing. And they're wondering if you can uh, talk a bit about that and how it helped you out.
Uh, yeah, I a couple of drawing of books. I always recommend like the survival kit for animation, but
Mm-hmm.
for drawing, the best one for me is a very old book uh, called The Natural Way to Draw from a guy called Kimon Nicolates, which was an art professor at New York, if I remember. Um, and he talks a lot about gesture, like gesture
Yeah.
drawing, like drawing with energy. And I think his method of uh, of gesture is just the best because it is very dynamic and very very fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember they tried to teach us like gesture drawing on college, and they totally failed because none of us were able to learn good gesture drawing. But I remember when I was drawing, uh, felt like my hand was trying to do the drawing by itself, like being very very rough. Uh, and then I read the book, and the book said like, yeah, that's just your brain trying to complete the drawing. Let it complete the drawing, and it's going to be
Mm.
faster and better. Like that book has those principles very well explained. So I always recommend that one.
Yeah, like I'm looking at pictures of it right now, and it looks similar to like Glenn Vilppu to me, like kind of where they you can tell me if this is right or not, but it looks like they kind of ignore the you're not necessarily doing the contour or the outline, and you're just kind of getting the feeling of the pose. It doesn't matter that you're necessarily hitting the contour line. It's
Yeah,
like
that's the first like stage of the drawing. But the thing is, if you draw hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of those, every time you do less lines, so your drawing gets cleaner and cleaner, and you do it faster, and eventually you don't have to draw the of that mess. Uh, that was for me like the approach to drawing without sketching. I almost do not sketch when I'm drawing because my brain already knows how to do the sketch like on its own without having to put it on paper.
yeah, I think you told me
Uh,
about that once. How you just once you learned how to draw a character, you go straight to the final lines on layout.
I generally like sketch it once or twice, and then I just go to the final lines, and I don't have to clean it, and that's faster at least.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's decent. They don't retake that generally from me.
Yeah, if you're doing like a uh pose, like what do you ever have any cuts where you're like inventing the pose because like the boards aren't really strong enough?
um, yeah, sure. I mean, sometimes like perspective poses they are difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I have these like little dolls. Like, do you remember the uh, Good Smile,
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
figurine company?
yeah.
Yeah, I have those. Those help me sometimes. Like especially because they have like hands, very very detailed hands. So if I'm just stuck on a pose, sometimes I just take those out and take a picture on the cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
That helped me like to nail that difficult pose.
Yeah,
General,
I used to have one of those, but the I guess the I forget what you call it. There's certain poses that they can't do because they lock up
of course, yeah.
the degrees of rotation or whatever. Like you
For
can't
example,
cross their arms. So that's one thing I didn't
yeah,
like.
yeah. Or for example, those wooden dummies they sell for live drawing or something.
Yeah,
Those are useless.
yeah,
Those
those
are
are completely
totally
useless.
useless.
Yeah, and
So
the wooden hands too, because the wooden hands can only open and close.
yeah, but I've found these ones at least have helped me times.
I
Um,
found an app that is really cool for that called Design Doll. You can
ah,
it's like it's got basically all the perfect degrees of freedom that a normal person does, and you can adjust the proportions of the model to fit the proportions of the character you're working on.
yeah, I think I know that software. I think I tried installing it once. Like I wasn't able to make it run on my computer.
Oh, really? Yeah, I think it's pretty demanding.
Maybe it could work now. I'll try.
Yeah,
But
I
I think CSP also have like a posing
yeah,
tool.
their models are pretty limited though, but yeah,
No.
it does come in handy though if they deal with foreshortening. Foreshortening is usually where I've gotten better about it lately, but um
One gets to learn how to do them or how to fake them.
mhm.
Generally, just fake them. It looks okay. It is okay. Maybe even if it is not like anatomically super correct, it looks fine to be fine.
Have you worked on any shows that have really complicated costumes on the characters?
Mm, Not necessarily costumes. I've worked on shows that have, for example, very difficult hairs,
Hmm.
like eyes, like very complex eyes. Uh, and in Tonari, you know that famous second key I had to do. Do you remember that one? Uh, I don't know if we can say the anime, but probably remember that second key that took me like a week to do.
I mean, you have to remind me because I feel like there's been a few of those that have
Yeah,
been really long.
yeah, but the thing was like the eyes of the characters had like I counted them like 20 highlights, different highlights, and it was like, why do you need all of this? Like you could have done like, one or two highlights, but it had like 20. It was crazy.
Yeah, yeah. When
Uh,
you're in the, I think you might have also done too many frames cleaned up. 'Cause that's something I've kind of noticed
Maybe.
is for a long time they were like on these action scenes where there's like a mannequin just running around and like every once in a while there's a sock on correction. I've always thought like, oh, okay, so I have to clean up every single one of those frames. But then I thought about it. I'm like, I'm only getting paid 2,000 yen. I'm not getting paid per frame. Like the Doga person gets paid per frame, so it makes sense for them to clean
Mhm.
up every single frame. But for Genga, it doesn't make sense to clean up every single frame because you're getting paid per cut.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Like, I would have to ask the person, or we would have to ask like a PA if that's even possible. If they let the uh, yoga people do that, because maybe they don't.
Yeah, I've
And
asked sometimes, and they're like, this is what my response was that I got. Okay, well, first before I get to that, I did some math. Like on a like one of those crazy scenes that you do a lot of drawings on. let's say it's 45 keys. I've seen some people do cleanup at Negan on 45 keys, and it takes like a week. If you get
Mhm.
paid the bottom rate, Doga would get paid 200 yen per frame. You would make 9,000 yen off the cut.
Mhm.
Um, but you're only getting paid 2,000. So I brought this point up to a PA once, and then they said, whoever is making the, like, they're used, if you're the one making the layout, then you're assigning 45 keyframes to it, and you already accepted that the rate is 2,000, or the rate's, like, let's say the rate's 2,500 for layout and 2,000 for Genga, then it's your
Mhm.
fault that you're having to clean up 45 frames for 2,000 yen.
Yeah.
That's what the
Yeah, I
response,
can.
and I was like, oh wow, okay, so what you're saying is we are making way too many frames in layout.
Or we shouldn't take this job on for this amount of money.
Yeah, so it's all about the animators valuing their time in layout, so that you're not like making uh, the Genga people suffer. And like a lot of times people will do that. They'll do the crazy Sakuga stuff and then not do their own
Mhm.
Genga.
I think that was the case on the one
Yeah.
I was doing because I didn't do the layout. I was just doing the second key and suffering with it
Yeah.
because it had like too many poses and they were basically stickmen.
Yeah. Like there was the one that got me to ask about this was there was a cut on Blue Reflection, where Sarab did the layout and was too busy
Mhm.
to do the Negan, and I ended up having to do his Negan. And there was a ton of frames of these chains like whipping around. Because I guess
Mm.
the character I was drawing, her weapon is chains. I keep talking about this cut on this podcast. I think this is the third time I brought this cut up because it was crazy. It was just like 6 hours of me drawing chain links. I'm like, there's got to be an easier way to do this. And then that's what made me ask about it, and they were like, yeah, if you create something like that in layout, then you have to do the Negan for it because you already accepted that you're going to do the Negan. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, okay. So something I'm trying to push for at Tonari is like for people to make their cuts a little more efficient and friendly to the people after them. It's really tempting. Everyone wants to get like that, I guess, those like super cool cuts, and they want to like end up on the Boru. Um, but a lot of the suffering goes into making those cuts that end up on the Boru.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that. Especially because, like I said, I lately I haven't been doing my second key myself, so I try not to kill the person that's going to do the work after
Yeah.
me. Yeah, I always try to have that in mind, and with the Doga people also, like I try not to give them like terribly complex or maybe ambiguous spacing charts, for example. I
Yeah.
try to, I don't know, mark the middle and the middle of the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just do a couple of slashes, and I imagine sometimes it must be difficult to interpret that. Yeah. That was one of the things I actually learned from school because at school we worked like a studio, like our class
Mm.
was like a studio, and everyone like did uh ended up basically doing every work on the studio. Like sometimes you are the director, but after that you have to do yoga and things like that.
Mm.
Kind of know uh, uh, what those people are experiencing. Maybe that's something that some of the newer people still have to learn. Uh, like uh,
That it's more of like a team setting instead of
yeah, I
you
mean
solo.
animation is it's teamwork. Like have to uh, know how to use the people that's going to come after you, but also to respect them and not uh, them work
Yeah.
they shouldn't be doing.
I kind of feel like the Western way of doing animation makes it seem more like it's all just one person. Because like if you look at layout or keyframe animation for like some of these Western productions like Green Eggs and Ham or Klaus or I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
think what else recently is like hand drawn animation. If you look at the keyframe animations that were done, it's like they did every and also um they're just when they when they send it out to the outsource company who inevitably ends up doing the cleanup and the coloring and all that kind of stuff, they want it to just be very obvious what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one of the other things that come into to play with that is that Japanese animation is like uh, is very very standard. Like everyone on every studio do the animation the same way, but on Western animation, um, start the production from the ground. Like you sometimes do a new pipeline,
Yeah,
uh, and
yeah,
yes, things change.
yeah. I
Like
think I have a theory for why that is. I think it's because the Japanese studios are all like codependent. Like they're all constantly helping each other. Uh, where like the Western studios they don't really help each other.
yeah, totally. That had helped them a lot. Like uh, and had helped, for example, other countries if they have to send work to, I don't know, Korea or the Philippines or whatever. Everyone works the same, and that's very very efficient. Uh, so you kind of get the idea that uh, it is done by by different people. Like there are many people working on a single cut, but sometimes on Western animation, uh, it can be whatever because it depends on the specific production. I remember on the movie I was working on, they were paying for second, but for example, the correction pipeline was very very different to the Japanese one, and sometimes you got, I don't know, retakes or something like
Yeah,
that, which
yeah. I heard that a lot of times they won't even do correction drawings. They will just tell you to redo it.
yeah, they did Skype calls for every I don't know, 5 cuts they got from the animator. They did a Skype call,
Hmm.
tell them what was wrong. It took so much time,
Wow.
like so
Yeah.
much time. uh, and I didn't know there was like a better way at that time, because I didn't know how the Japanese animation worked in that. They could have just drawn it themselves, and it would have been like what?
Yeah, it would have been way
Here.
faster than just sitting down and explaining everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's just something that the anime industry figured out a while, like a long time ago. Was
Hmm.
I don't know, but even then, like sometimes I'll get on certain productions they'll try to explain in text what needs to be fixed on the cut, and then I'll respond like, isn't it faster just for the Inshutsu to just draw a sketch of what they want? And then they're like, no, 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 that's not gonna happen. I'm like, okay, well, I'll try, and then I misunderstand because there's mistranslations and stuff like that. But uh, anyways, I came up with something that I wanted to ask you about too. Do you have any like long term goals with animation? Like, is there some big dream or goal that you want to get to, or do you just feel like you already accomplished your dream? You're just trying to keep it going.
I would like to direct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because actually most of my training on at school was at like cinema thing, like doing storyboards and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So I would like to do that one day. Uh, because I think I know how to do it, kind of.
Yeah.
though I'm always learning because I'm getting like these super cool materials from very cool professionals. Like sometimes I get like very very beautiful storyboards, and I'm like, wow, I wish I could work on something like that.
Hmm.
Uh, I think that would be my next big dream
Yeah. So
after working on anime.
more like doing kind of like the Enshutsu role, like you would draw the storyboards and then you throughout production help fix it, or do you mean more like the animation director role, like where you're correcting drawings and?
I think Enchutsu would be
Mhm.
the thing.
Yeah, that's what I want to do
Yeah,
too. And I've gotten to do it
and
a
you
little bit.
have like yeah yeah you have.
Yeah. Um, but I haven't. I feel like I haven't done a whole lot where I'm actually drawing the boards myself. Like I've done a bit of it, but they're all like little stuff. Like it might just be like a scene on something, or um, the closest thing like that I guess I the original Striving for Animation opening I made the boards for, and then the new one that we're working on I made the boards for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I really want to learn as much as I can about that as well. Like getting to one of my favorite things is like determining composition,
Mm-hmm.
and like picking the camera angles and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah, that's all very interesting, and I think for that you have to look like elsewhere, like outside of anime, because
yeah,
there are not many resources. Like it is basically just cinema. Like
yeah,
you can
yeah,
learn that
exactly.
from even from live action. Like and at least on the Western side, there's a lot of resources for that.
Yeah,
I'm always trying to like refresh the content on my head, not to lose it. And maybe I've been trying like to make some storyboards or something uh, when I have some free time, just not to forget it,
yeah. One thing that,
to do it.
that I'm still unclear on is how do you get to the point in your career where you get trusted to do the storyboards for like some huge production? Because
Yeah.
I know a lot of studios like their goal is they eventually want like good directors to come out of their studio so that they can make really good works. And then
Mhm.
sometimes good directors don't even come out, or when the good directors do come out, they end up just leaving and going somewhere else. Um,
Yeah, I think like the Japanese have this way of doing things. Like you start from the bottom, then uh, get up the like uh, up the ranks, and it takes a lot of time.
yeah,
Uh, because I've seen like, for example, schools from animation schools from Japan. They don't really teach you how to do cinema like storyboards or things like that.
mm-hmm.
They just prepare you to enter from the bottom.
Yeah,
Uh, I think you're very lucky to have like Tonari because you can just do your thing
yeah,
sometimes. And I think that's kind of the would be like the best way to do it. Like just do it, even
yeah,
if you're not getting attention now. Just do your storyboard because sometimes someone could notice. Sometimes you'll have the opportunity and you'll have the material to show that you can do it.
yeah. It's definitely a
So
good way to
you
get like experience doing storyboards without the risk of never having done them before. Like,
Mhm.
and the projects are relatively small, at least for the ones I'm doing boards on. But one thing I kind of might start doing too is asking if other people want to make boards for stuff. I just default to doing them myself because it doesn't cost extra money for me to do it. Um, because technically storyboarding is supposed to be really expensive. Um,
Yeah, I don't really have like a number on my head about that one. At least in Japan.
yeah,
Yeah, it is an important role. It's basically you're the director of the production.
Yeah, and you have to do a lot of you're basically creating the blueprint for the entire thing.
It's like you said, like the role of the director is 80% storyboard and 20% making sure people follow the storyboard.
Yeah, one thing I'm interested in learning more about though, like I haven't figured this out though. Sometimes the storyboard's drawn by somebody else besides the director,
Hmm.
and I think it might maybe it's what I'm thinking it is that the Inshitsu probably drew a rough of the storyboard and then gave it to someone to clean up. I think that's
Ah,
probably what it is.
yeah, I don't know really. Like, I don't know if someone actually has time to do like even the rough of the storyboards. I think that the director, like the series director, job is to like set what we are going to do, and you have to have your other directors be like you have to trust them a lot, uh, and eventually they will do their storyboards under your instructions basically,
Yeah,
and they'll show them to you and you can correct them. But I think the director has to trust the other guys just to do their jobs.
yeah. I think one of the reasons they don't always do their storyboards is because like on TV anime, uh, if only one guy was doing the storyboards, the show would never be finished. Just because it just takes so long to do boards. Like,
I remember once I asked Will uh, about the how the jutsus were like on the studios, and he said like they were the most miserable people on the studio. 'Cause, they basically never went home. Like,
yeah,
uh,
I
even if they had help, they were always working.
yeah I've found that boards are easy to do. They're easy to do sometimes, but they're if it's on a project that you don't know anything about already, or if it's not something coming out of your own head, it takes forever. So like if I would imagine adapting a manga or um taking a light, well, not even yeah, taking a novel or something like would be easy. But I don't know if it's like there's certain cases where uh, it's very difficult to come up with what should be in the storyboard because you're staring at a blank piece of paper. You're like,
Mm.
what needs to go here and in what order? Like, I did boards recently for a story arcana uh,
Oh. Oh.
game opening, and I didn't know anything about the game at first. So like, and I was trying to, for some reason I thought I could get the boards done by just reading the synopsis of the game and then reading the character descriptions and stuff like that. But I kept getting stuck, and it is because I didn't. What got me out of getting stuck was I actually played through the entire demo, and then I was like, oh, okay, I know what this game's about. Like I've got the feeling behind it now. I know what they're trying to do with this project, and then I finished the board like in a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and for the Tonari commercial boards, I did that in an afternoon because I had a immediate because it was coming out of my own head. Um,
Yeah, and you wanted to do it,
yeah,
like.
and I wanted to do it, and I was motivated.
Yeah, and you know what I have found about storyboards? Because we did like a lot of this process on school. The storyboards are always better when you do it on group, when you have several people helping you.
Hmm.
Uh, I've seen like the Japanese just get their piece of paper and do it themselves. I think when you do that, you lose a lot of the benefits actually doing storyboard, because storyboard for me is like the whole process of telling your story with images. And
Yeah, I
we,
guess there's two kind of schools of thought on that. There's that one that you're talking about, but then there's the other one where you have like these prolific director guys that are like they get like movie after movie or show after show, um, and
Mhm.
they want to be able to claim ownership, I guess, of the like directors who put their names next to the title.
Mhm.
Like those are the kinds of people that want to be able to do the whole thing themselves. But I guess for
Yeah.
everyone else, like if you're not trying to get your name next to the title, then it doesn't make sense to be the only one doing it.
Can you? I don't think what you could not. For example, like when we were doing storyboards for whatever we were doing at college, or we had the director, the guy who actually took the decisions. We had like I don't know, two more people that were like the script assistants, we call them, which were basically there just to tell you like I don't know, do you think the continuity between this panel and this panel is correct? Maybe we could make it a bit better.
Mm.
And you were like, yeah, you're right, like and, and things get refined that way.
Yeah, I
And
think anime has some of that because I think I'm just speculating, but I'm pretty sure this is what the kantokus do with the inshutsu. So like sometimes there's like a series director who's directing the whole series, and then they have different people doing each episode. I think that the kantoku has to review the storyboards for the episodes to make sure that it's got the continuity between episodes. Um,
mhm.
and they might go in and say like, oh yeah, this character wouldn't react this way in that situation because 4 episodes ago they did this thing happened. Um, but as far as like
Yeah,
from shot to shot, I don't know. I don't think they do that.
because at least the Western way of doing storyboards is more dynamic because you actually do you take these little pieces of paper and you paste them on the
The
wall.
wall, yeah, I've seen videos of how they do it at Pixar. That's kind of what they do. Is everyone's kind of throwing in ideas. Um,
Very, very efficient, like very, very efficient, especially if you have a couple of people helping you. Like you can do very good things very fast. And I don't know why the Japanese haven't picked that up yet, because I think it could help them a lot. Because of what you said, because some people are possessive of the credits, but
yeah,
no,
I don't know.
I personally would not care about that.
I think that like when you have there are cases in Western productions where they do that as well, where it's like one guy makes the story or makes the storyboards, and then they also will usually put their name next to it. Like I'm pretty sure I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure Tim Burton makes his own storyboards.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Uh, uh, Live action people, they don't usually know how to do their storyboards.
yeah, yeah.
That's something I've learned. Like,
They
for
do it
example,
all in writing, which
and then contract people to do the storyboards from that.
mhm.
I think that's very, very weird. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't
I
know. I don't
think
like
it is just because they don't know how to draw.
yeah.
So
Like
they
they
don't know
should
how
be
to
able
draw.
to at least be able to do stick figures, I think. But um I don't know. I think that it would be I don't think it's good to start by writing everything down in text too much. That's one thing I really like about the Econte system is because a lot of times
Mhm.
they're just adapting a scenario instead of adapting a screenplay.
Mhm.
So like they'll be working from just a a novel or like an outline, um, and then you can kind of whoever's making the storyboard can kind of feel out what's actually happening and see it instead of just imagine it.
Mhm.
Because sometimes things are good on paper, like in writing, but they're bad on in a picture form.
And that in that case, when you have the content and you are deriving from it, I think that's better. For example, when you are inventing the content, I think it is efficient to begin like writing, because in case you do a mistake or you have to change something for whatever reason, you just get rid of the text instead of getting rid of a lot of pages of drawings,
Yeah,
which is a very expensive mistake. What I would do would be like, do your text, make it like perfect, then into the storyboard knowing that you will not have to change something big at that stage. And basically lose money. It's all about money in the end.
There's a couple of chat questions I want to respond to. Lily saying, sorry if you answered this, but why is the majority of animation in Japan first done on paper? Isn't it faster to do digital? We did talk about this a little bit earlier, but a lot of Japanese animators are faster on paper, and also they're better on paper.
Especially the older guys.
Yeah, the older, like old school guys. They got a lot of guys working there in the anime industry that are. I would almost say like a lot of them are over 35, over 40 years old, and they've been in it for like 20 years, 25 years. And they're just used to paper and they're faster with it. So getting them to get onto the computer is going to be difficult. But we don't mind accommodating those guys because they're really good. So like we'll go through the extra effort to import their scans and line up all the pegs because we're looking at these drawings and we're like, whoa.
Yeah, I've got some messy folders with some messy drawings, but very cool drawings, but that I have to like align by hand.
Yeah, it's a kind of a waste of time on our side, but it's worth it for the sake of the final result.
Are there more questions? I feel like the text is just accumulating, and
Yeah.
I'm afraid.
Yeah, Izune's saying they worked on Suicide Squad with James Gunn, and he drew stick blobs to define what he wanted, and we had to make it into a 3D animatic. Yeah, I mean, that's good. It's better to draw stick figures than try to explain. It's really, really hard to explain a composition in words. Because then you're like, okay, so this character's on the left side, this character's on the right side. Angles up from below or eye levels at waist height. Like, I don't know, it's easier to just draw it, I think.
Lately, they have been using like a lot of those 3D animatics, like they call them previews.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, it's like a very Hollywood thing, but some time ago I saw a documentary on the last Evangelion movie, like the last of the last, and Hideaki Anno was using previews, and I was very like impressed. Like,
yeah, this is the first time I've heard this term.
Yeah, like he probably just want to be cool, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it. I saw him using that. Is there anything else?
Someone had a question about whether you all knew about any books. Yeah, I saw that question earlier too. Let's see. Aren't there?
Someone is asking about tools, like what do I use to draw, or we use to draw?
This one was someone's asking about if there's books out there on limited animation. Basically, it feels like the Sakuga animation started by mystery. They recommend Williams, but the solutions are completely different from full animation. So I don't know of any books that talk about limited action animation.
I think you should know about full animation before getting into limited animation. I think that's the way. Like, go from more to less. Like, you compress the information. And in my experience, at least, the Richard Williams books teach you most of the important things. At least the basics, better than other books. But that's my point of view, like my Western point of view.
I wonder, is Richard Williams still alive?
He died like a couple of years ago.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, right. I was like, I hope I one day I'll meet this guy and tell him like I love him, but
yeah, that'd be so funny if he I don't think he would have ever realized that this book would have became like the Bible for anime for like all these
Yeah,
guys.
and I've seen them. I've seen the Japanese edition like on the shelves of the Japanese animators too.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And there's these other books like are very important too, which are like Elemental Magic. Have you
Oh
seen
yeah, that one's
those?
good. It talks about like the like different effects for like fire and
Uh,
water and stuff like that.
I actually had like classes with that guy. He was my teacher
Oh,
for
nice.
like a couple of weeks. I asked him like, do you know that the Japanese use your book? Like they have a Japanese edition of your book, and he had no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
And I
really hard
asked,
for people to know. It's almost impossible to grasp how helpful something is. Um, like when you create something like that to like the world, because you just like make something. You're
Mhm.
like, okay, this is just knowledge that I've known, and I'm just gonna share it.
Yeah, and that guy was kind of special because he lives like in the jungle. Like I don't remember which country, and he just goes out of the jungle literally just to go around the world teaching once a year. It was pretty fun speaking with him, and he was like very humble too. And if he was one of the like really the best animators around, me that guy is like I don't know, along Miyazaki and something else
Mm-hmm.
because his animation was just otherworldly. Um,
Someone brought
I,
up the Miyazaki and his storyboards. He said
mhm.
he even hand paints them. Uh, yeah, I like how he does them too. But I actually read a essay that he wrote where he was talking about his storyboard process, and like I thought that him doing watercolors on his storyboards was because he's like trying to control the production more, but apparently it's just because he's faster with watercolor than with drawing.
Yeah, I can imagine he's faster like with that, but I also think he's trying to control the production. Like if you tell
Yeah,
the people from the storyboard that you want this scene to be this color, like there's less possibilities of them making a mistake, expensive mistake.
yeah.
Um, can I answer the this guy who's asking about the tools?
Yeah.
Uh, he was asking about gadgets or something to draw. I use a pen display, like I have a Wii pen display, uh, a fairly big one. It's like 21 inches, and I think it is faster and more comfortable, at least for me, than the small tablet, which I also have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would love to animate on my light table, but I think it's not really efficient if I have to scan everything and send it.
Yeah,
Use my pen
there
display.
is a scanner meant specifically for scanning animation, but I think it costs like way too. It costs more than a car.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
But
Whatever scanner that's bigger than A4, I think is very expensive.
yeah, the ones you want are the ones that you could stick everything in and it just goes just pulls all of them in, but it's still sloppy. Like it still throws off the peg holes.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually have one kind of like that. Like it just eats uh, the cheats. Uh, you kind of do something with the scan bar and put a tape on it so
Mm-hmm.
the peg holes will look black. But once I made a mess with it because the tape kind of peeled off and it became all sticky and almost killed the
Oh
the
wow.
scanner.
Honestly, I think it's faster to actually use a camera instead of a scanner.
Yeah, there are
Cause
like
you can
setup cameras.
because you can set up a I did this when I was in college. We did a little traditional animation project, and we set up a photography station for the frames. And I just had I taped a peg bar to like a drawing table, lifted up the drawing table, and then had a camera on a tripod, and then I had an auto capture that was slow enough that I could change the frame, and it would just go, just pull it off. Like I would put like 10 sheets on the peg bar and then just pull them off one at a time between. It's like
Now that you mention it, we also have that one on the school. I had totally forgotten, and we had a special software for that setup. Remember the name? It was Monkey something. A software especially to photograph the things and make like a pencil test.
Yeah. I remember that they would do that for pencil tests a lot of the time. And honestly, that's an advantage and a disadvantage that digital has. The fact that we have a timeline that we can press play on, because like it turns us into perfectionists a little bit too much, I think, because I don't know if you do this, but I'll do this. I'll sit here and press play, and I'll just watch it on loop for like 10 minutes. Try to like figure out what's wrong.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I personally like do flip a lot, like because when you are on your light table, you flip the like all the time, and I have like my hotkeys on my keyboard, and I flip from one drawing to another. I think that's my that's my thing I do the most.
Clip Studio has a way to do flipping that works like paper. It's like a hidden feature, but like you can set a hotkey and then it'll bring it up to where you can use your number keys. You can go like 1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1 1 2 3 4 5 without or you could flip between 5 and 1, 5 1 5 1 5 1 3 1 3 1. Instead of going left and right on the timeline, you can like skip over stuff.
It's very, very cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do. I'm finally caught up on animation work, at least for like drawing stuff, and I'm not taking any more for a while. So I'm gonna actually try to get some videos of like Clip Studio tips and tricks, which I could probably. I'm gonna prioritize that because that's like the biggest area that I think people need help on, is like the tricks, because everyone's taking so long on cuts, like, and I think it's because they're struggling with the software. Like they're just being really inefficient about it. Like something I'm testing out. Something I'm testing out right now is abandoning the whole split layer system and just drawing on one layer to try to mimic paper more. I don't know if it's gonna make me faster or not, but I tried it out on 4 cuts the other day, and it seemed to be faster because I didn't have to build out layers. The only thing is I had to build out a color palette before I started the project to get the right line colors. I was like, make a specific one for each project because they have different shading markups and different line colors and stuff like that.
I think if you can draw enough without making many mistakes, it could work.
Yeah.
Because if you like do the drawing and the shading and all of that in the same layer, and then you do a mistake and you have to erase everything, it could be very messy.
Yeah. One thing that makes it messy is that the eraser is perfect in digital. Like you erase and it completely erases everything. So what I started using the kneaded eraser, where like you have to press hard to get it to erase everything, or you go over it multiple times to erase it. That lets you like erase like let's say you were trying to get rid of a shadow line, you can erase just the shadow line without erasing the black outline. Like if you use like the hard eraser, it just erases everything, and then you have a split line and you have to waste time reconnecting it.
Yeah, that's very smart. Like, I haven't thought about that one. I think it could work. You'll have to tell me eventually if you get faster doing that one.
Yeah, I know the biggest speed increase for me was definitely switching to a screen tablet. I think it quadrupled my speed.
Yeah, I totally like I agree with that one.
because now I can just draw a line, and then that's the line that I wanted, and I can go to the next line. Whereas like
sometimes you ask, like, I don't know, your teachers or something, if you should buy like an expensive display or something, and they tell you no, it is not the like the tool or whatever, but it actually made me faster.
yeah, it's really
I
counterintuitive to use. You can get fast with it, but like I know people that like even if they're like I love using the like there's an advantage to using the screenless tablet because you can sit up straight and you don't end up like a hunchback, but that's the only advantage. What I do is I just I lower my chair so I can sit up
yeah.
straighter.
I had a teacher which hated like pen displays because he was distracted by his own hand. Like he don't like looking at his hand what he was drawing, so he used like a small tablet.
Yeah, that is another advantage, I guess. You don't cover up the drawing with your hand, but
it doesn't bother me particularly. Is there anything else on the chat?
Can you trial with stick figures this non-split split layer workflow you're testing? I'm actually not screen sharing right now. This is just a fake UI. So but I'll probably do when I do my Clip Studio video, I'll probably just stream a bunch of stuff. And you guys can watch and ask questions and throw in tips, and then I'll just edit that live stream into a Clip Studio tips.
That will be very good because I also want to learn Clip Studio.
Yeah.
I have it like installed for like a year and I haven't touched it because I don't have any time.
You're using TV Paint still, right?
I'm using TV Paint. That's what I learned to use at school. So I'm pretty fast with it, but things that are not very good on TV Paint, like for example the camera is not as powerful as the camera on CSP, and that sometimes gets me in trouble.
Yeah, I can't remember what I didn't like about TV Paint. I feel like there wasn't enough features. But I mean, I guess it's just it does what it does. Like it's
very simple.
Yeah, it's just good for like frame by frame animation.
Mm-hmm. All of the I don't know the effects and all of the things it has, they are pretty useless.
Yeah, like in CSP, you can even do like white out, white in, black out. Like you can do like all this kind of like timeline effects and stuff just to like see what your animation's like.
One of the things that CSP can do and TV Paint cannot do is like follow a character with the camera.
Like on a big canvas.
How is that that notation?
It's like the memory pan.
Memory pan. Yeah, you cannot do that on TV Paint. You have to like fake it really badly.
Yeah,
I think CSP is a lot easier.
Yeah, and one thing that I learned recently is I was doing memory pans wrong. I was like drawing a big canvas and then having the character physically move around on that canvas when you're really supposed to just keep the character in the window and then just slide the background around instead.
Yeah, I think I do that one. Like I generally work with big canvases because that's what we used to do on paper. Like it was one of the things I love doing on paper. Like when you have to do these big canvases, you just have to paste everything with tape.
Oh, and make bigger pieces of paper.
Yeah, that was very, very, very fun. I still do it on digital. But working with the camera on that one, it's very, very difficult in TV Paint. I think it would be easier on CSP.
All right, so we've been going for like, let's see, how long has it been? An hour and a half. I guess for now, let's split to just doing Q&A for like 15 minutes, and then we could probably end the stream. So guys, we're just gonna watch chat for a bit, and if you guys have any questions about animation techniques, maybe specific cuts or something that you want to ask about.
If we missed any question above, you can ask
Oh
again.
yeah, the questions were pouring in like earlier, so we probably missed some stuff. So I have a question for you. What made you like? I kind of ask this to a lot of people. Like, what made you want to do anime instead of Western animation?
I think it was the overall quality of it, like
Like the drawings?
yeah, the drawings and also the stories. Like it was more interesting.
Yeah, yeah. The Western stuff tends to kind of just fall under. But the thing is, like, I actually talked to the director of Digimon about this exact topic. He said, like we were saying that we think that Western productions are all kind of the same, and they're kind of boring, and that the stories in anime are more interesting. And he laughed at us and said that that's how Japanese feel about anime. So
Oh,
like it's all the same stories, like some high schooler doing something or whatever. So they feel like they're stagnating somehow, and then we're looking at it like, wow, these are like amazing, inspiring stories constantly coming out of there, and they're feeling the opposite.
yeah, I understand. It probably has to do with what we are exposed, like on our side of the world.
Yeah.
Most Western things are for like kids generally. If you get some like adult themed animation, it is very interesting.
Yeah. Okay, we have some questions in now. Is any software okay as long as you know how to export cells? If you're doing layout, or
Yeah,
Ginga, I guess it doesn't matter. But once you're out of, if you're doing Doga, then it matters.
I was going to ask you this. In fact, are you guys doing Doga on CSP or are you still using Redis?
We do both. So I'm trying to get everybody to switch to CSP just because, at least for like the independent stuff that we're doing, it's going to be faster to just keep it all in CSP. Then we don't have to do X sheets until Doga's done.
See.
Because we can do CSP can you can notate where you want the in-betweens to go on the CSP timeline. Yeah.
Well, that's very interesting.
Yeah. And then at the very end, we can export the final timesheet for compositing to use.
When you were talking about like doing a lot of like 10 cuts a day, I was thinking like, yeah, that the X sheet is actually one of the things like that takes more time. Like we could get rid of it at least for a period of the pipeline. It would be great.
Yeah, I think you can get rid of it all the way up until Doga, and then any of the, I guess, effects. The only problem is notating effects. So like fade in, fade out, camera shake, like all that kind of stuff. Like you need that on the camera column so that the compositor doesn't have to think; they can just do all the effects. But
yeah, you're right.
In the Toei animation digital exposure sheet, if we started using that, there's all of the notations for every single camera effect are built into the software, really? And you can export the CSP timeline as an X sheet, and then link it to the file.
That's very, very cool.
Yeah. So I'm hoping to implement that, but we tried to. I experimented a bit with Digimon, because I was like, oh, it's Toei, so we should use the Toei digital exposure sheet. And then they ended up not liking that we were using that. They were like, just use the paper one. And I'm like, wait, but you guys developed this. And they're like, yeah, no, but we don't use it. I'm like, okay.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah. Okay. Questions are piling up. What's a good balance between studying and personal work? Studying as in animator studies and fundamental exercises. Study as much as you can is my opinion. Is it as much as you can get yourself to do? Like I don't study enough personally. Like I need to. I'm joining I found a local place that does live figure drawing. I'm gonna start going there twice a week because I feel like I'm stagnating.
I feel like the same. Like I work so much all the time that I feel like I need to practice. Like I don't know, my drawing on my anatomy, for example. I think there's not like too much studying, but you have to be producing something, like making content. It doesn't help that you just read the book, like just draw a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and that, and you're gonna get better eventually.
Um, Renaissance is saying, what do you guys think of Toon Boom being used to make anime? I know D'Archstagio uses it for their work. I'm guessing it just depends on the studio's pipeline. Um, I think Toon Boom, the software, makes everything worse. Like it just makes everything look worse. And the reason I think that is because they're using, this is my theory. You can agree with it or disagree with it, but I think it's because it's vector, and they're trying to do all the compositing inside of Toon Boom.
Yeah.
So it makes a weird workflow that just degenerates the quality. And last point that I wanted to make about it was with the vector tools being the lines, the vectors cause two problems. One problem is you can infinitely zoom in, so you don't know when to stop working on detail. Whereas in a raster production, you zoom in to a certain point and you just see a bunch of giant pixels. So it limits, raster limits the detail that you can put into it, which is good for saving you time. And then the second thing that the vector causes problems for is it makes the lines look worse. Because like one of the things that makes anime look really pretty is when they anti-alias the raster lines and it blends the outlines with the surrounding colors. And I think that really helps soften it and make it look really nice.
Much either, at least for the kind of animation I do, because I think Toon Boom is made to do other kind of productions. Toon Boom is a very complex software with a lot of tools that are used to like make puppet animations
Yeah.
or things like that. If you're doing that kind of thing, I think Toon Boom is good because it has the tools to help you. But if you're doing like traditional 2D animation, it's going to get in your way. And I
Yeah.
have
I don't think
experience with Toon Boom.
I really don't think Toon Boom was made for artists. I think it was made for people that wanted to learn like the technical, like
Probably.
once someone's drawn the character that gets rigged in Toon Boom, then you don't have to draw them ever again. You just have to import their little, like, okay, you've got this stock head that I'm gonna slap in here, this hand, all that. I think some of the shows eventually do frame by frame, but I've messed around with Toon Boom once and it was a nightmare to use. Okay.
Toon Boom.
And also the pipelines are completely incompatible. Like all these studios that use Toon Boom, their pipelines completely incompatible with the Japanese animation pipeline.
Toon Boom tried to redefine the pipeline for like storyboard and layout, and in my opinion, it made a mess.
Yeah. How much information can be omitted in an X sheet? Unless you
hopefully none.
Yeah.
You have to show the people what they need to work.
Yeah, generally everything that's on an X sheet is also echoed on the layout. So like if you want to do a camera shake, you'd write it on the X sheet and you'd write it on the layout. And the way you write it on the layout is you just say like gamen bure or whatever, kamera bure, and then you'll just draw a box. Like this is the box that gets shaken around. But on the X sheet, you would draw the seismograph or whatever going down the camera column.
Do we have time to answer this like very fast?
Yeah, we can go quick. I still have energy, so I don't mind going through everyone's questions.
Fine. Okay, we were
Any
Tungun.
any plans to start your own studios? I started one.
He did. Personally, I think I need like um, experience,
Hmm.
like learning a lot. So I'm kind of happy where I'm right now for the moment. So no plans in the near future.
Uh, Proxy's asking, do you think AI is going to streamline the process of animating in 2D, or is it just going to take people's jobs?
Mm,
I think
I
it's
think
going to take
AI can
people's
do.
jobs, but it's going to take away the stuff nobody likes doing.
Yeah, there are like some softwares to in between that can do some like simple in betweening. They even work with the spacing charts. Like you can do the
Mm-hmm.
spacing chart
Yeah,
on
that's
your.
what's that called? Uh, what's the app called? It's like Kaneki or something like that.
Something like that. But
Kakani,
I think
Kakani.
think it has its limits. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think it is going to take like too many jobs.
Yeah, I am kind of a little bit concerned about if they found a way to make AI replace Doga, if it would be destructive to the anime industry or the quality of work. Because I think there's something important about the meticulous nature of how Doga's done that translates really well to layout in Genga for people that started in Doga. So if everyone's just starting in Genga, then maybe the animation industry will lose something, but I don't know. That's just like my gut feeling.
Not. Mm.
Like there's something that I think we're starting to lose a lot of is line fidelity. Like uh, like when people make a stroke on the end of a piece of hair, and then they intentionally make it go from thick to thin. Like that kind of
Mhm.
stuff, I feel like we're losing,
Mm.
except for like some exceptions.
I get what you mean. Mm.
Okay, there's actually a lot of questions now. Let's see.
I think I. Yeah. How does the Japanese animation industry compare to the one in your country? Is it messier? Uh, my country, like, there's no comparison. Like, Japanese animation industry is a real industry. Like in my country, it's not actually an industry. It's just a bunch of projects.
Yeah, I feel like that's the case for like almost all countries besides, uh, let's say, U.S., Canada, Europe, or Western Europe, India, China, Japan, Korea. Everyone else doesn't really have, because I think all the other countries are just importing the uh, the media that all those other countries are making, right?
Yeah, for example, my country, most of the animation is like state sponsored, and that I think that has like really hurt the prospects of turning it into an industry because people is just happy when they get the money from the sponsorship. So
Hmm.
work hard after that. That's my opinion about it. Um, the next one. Do you think it is easier to make a living from working anime than Chilean animation? Um, for Chilean animation specifically, I think the jobs are not very stable. You can get, I don't know, a job for 6 months, but then the studio might just disappear, and it's also not that interesting. Like I'm on on Japanese animation, not necessarily because they pay very well or it's very safe, but because it is interesting and I'm learning a lot.
Yeah, I think as long as like artists and animators can survive, they'll work on anything as long as it's like fulfilling or interesting.
It's art
Um,
after all,
yeah,
kind of.
very few money motivated artists. it's they should be more money motivated in my opinion, just because it sets up a situation where they're all getting uh, taken advantage of. But
I've actually lately I've been experiencing like I've gotten like better paid jobs. I don't know if you are seeing that over there on the
um,
studio.
we usually ask for higher pay and they usually give it to us.
Yeah.
But it's still not like I remember there was like the big everyone freaked out that Netflix was paying Mappa $32 a cut, and I'm like, I wish I was making $32 a cut. I'm getting like $20 a cut. Um, but yeah, usually if we ask, we'll get more. But something that we're starting to do too is if we take a large chunk of cuts, like 100 cuts, then we can get
Hmm?
a management fee on top of that.
Mm,
And then another thing
cool.
studios will pay more for is people that commit to working on multiple episodes or like throughout the whole season. And you can usually get
Hmm?
like a retainer, but we have not gotten anything like that yet.
Yeah. I've got a couple of jobs lately that pay like, I don't know, 5 times the normal amount, which
Yeah,
is not that
I've
much,
heard,
but
well, I've heard that exists. Like, was it 12,000 yen per cut?
yeah, up to 20,000 yens a cut.
Yeah,
But it's generally like action stuff. But
I think that's what it
been
should be worth. But
yeah, totally. But I've been experiencing that lately, which is
because
good, I
if you
think.
spend 20,000 yen on a cut, then you can the animator feels justified in spending like a few days on it,
Hmm. Yeah,
and they can actually
totally.
make it really good, as opposed to like deciding. Just like I feel like a lot of animators just decide to starve. They're like, okay, I'm gonna work on one cut all week long for $20, and then it's like okay, it's cool that you're doing that because you're gonna make a cool cut, and then the it'll end up on the Sakagaboru, but you got to eat. So
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Um, we keep going.
yeah, we can kind of skip around to some of these questions.
So,
Do you use an iPad to animate? I actually recently got an iPad because I don't have a laptop, and I was like, okay, I've tried to use my Wacom with a laptop in the past, and it turned out horribly. And I remember drawing on one of my friend's iPads, and I was amazed with how good the pen is on it. So
really?
yeah, I'm gonna learn how to like. It's better than a Wacom. Like
Yeah.
it's amazing how good. Like it's instant. Like the speed is crazy. Like and also the tilt detection is really crazy. Like it feels like it feels like I'm in the future like when I use it. So I'm gonna start learning how to use it and get better at it because uh if I end up out of the house for whatever reason, I want to be able to still work. So I got like a case and a keyboard for it and stuff like that. So
Mm.
it should work out. It's nice to be able to like use the touch features because you can just grab the canvas and spin it and zoom it in with your like pinching with your fingers instead of having to
Hmm.
use keyboard shortcuts. Yeah,
Mm.
I was really impressed with it. Like I think there's a lot of people at Tonari that actually exclusively use an iPad. So
Really? I
yeah,
didn't know that.
and
Uh,
Ilya
I don't.
Kushvinov uses an iPad too.
Mm. Don't you find like the screen is too small sometimes?
Um, I got the bigger one. I got the 12-inch one,
Okay,
but
like big screens.
it's like I'm used to a 16-inch screen tablet, so it's not that bad.
Bueno,
It's
I
just
don't have an iPad.
I have to
So
just full screen. I just have to full screen more often instead of having like the sub view up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Did you see any questions that you wanted to answer?
Uh, Someone is asking me, uh, do you have any advice for improving drawing skills to specifically help with animation? Draw a lot very fast. Like try to draw faster. Uh, and maybe you could take a look at the book I talked about the um, the natural way to draw. Uh, that's what I would like tell people to read and to study.
Yeah,
So
there's like a classical drawing method that got kind of abandoned or doesn't really get taught anymore, and it's kind of like what how they used to teach like the old masters like Michelangelo and stuff like that. And this type of drawing, you, this could be what I think this is what is in that book, because I think it's similar to what I was seeing on this on thumbnails and stuff. But this type of fast figure drawing was developed for guys like Michelangelo to sit on the street and draw people that were walking past him.
yeah,
And
that's exactly what it is.
yeah, and he would use those sketches later to like make the layouts for uh like the Sistine Chapel and stuff like that.
Hmm. Yeah, basically try to draw faster. That's
Yeah, yeah. I guess a good way to do it is
advice.
to just go sit down at a park that's busy and just draw people that are walking past you. You only have like 30, maybe 10 seconds, 10 to 20 seconds to draw them. Just get through the
Mhm.
whole figure. You're not going to get details, but you're going to get through the figure. And then like you could, if you wanted to, you could take that drawing later and clean it up, but the point is to be able to just
I remember when I was training one of the guys we work with, like Jared knows who it is. Uh, we would draw on paper using this method. Like we would have I don't know, a tablet with poses, different poses. It would take us, I don't know, 10 seconds or less to do every pose. And we would spend like I don't know, 100 pages of paper, or uh, like we would spend them in nothing. Like that's how fast I
mm,
think you want to get.
um how do you utilize the light table? I think they're talking about the one in Clip Studio.
Studio or the actual light table,
Yeah, that's
like
those are both different questions. So we'll Tiger Punk, if you're still here, can you specify the light table in CSP or physical one? Um, how do you guys go about studying animators that you look up to? Do you draw their drawings? Um,
uh, I trace.
I've actually
Trace a
never
lot.
I've actually never gotten into animators. I don't know why. Like I've never just like picked an animator and been like I want to study them. Like I'll study directors, but I don't study animators. I don't know why. Like I
I,
should.
I
I need to get like a favorite animator or something. But
think I don't study like animators either. I study like sequences. Like, oh,
mm,
this is very cool. Like, I don't know, this fight or whatever. So I would just trace every single frame of it. Try to.
something I will do is I won't even find the specific animator. I'll just find some show. Like I'm still kind of learning as I go, so I will find like an animation that was done in the past that solved a similar issue to what I'm trying to solve, and then
Mm.
I'll take like an animated GIF or something and put it in like one of those GIF exploder apps, and then just see how they did the timing and the spacing and stuff like that, going frame by frame, and then I'll use that as a reference. But
Uh, I've done that a lot too.
yeah,
Trying not to copy it
yeah,
like completely.
yeah. You can find references that are from a different camera angle and still
Mm.
utilize the timing from it. Like if someone's running forward, you can be like, okay, this is really cool timing. Like I want to uh, try to implement this same timing, and it's you're kind of using like a the technical expertise of someone that's more experienced than you to reference your
Mm.
timing, and you're not copying their animation, which I think it's a good learning tool.
Mm. Yeah, definitely.
Um,
Mm.
Makoto Shinkai
Any
uses Toon Boom for storyboarding. Yeah, he uses
and
Toon Boom for
I know he
storyboarding
does.
because he likes to animate the storyboard, and then he also likes to just put in he'll record like all the lines with his own voice and stuff like that.
Mm.
And there's actually a way you can tell which storyboards use Toon Boom by just like seeing what the format of the export. But I would imagine it's like multifaceted. I think maybe he might have bad handwriting or something, or uh, he just really wants to use those like animatic features so he can like
Yeah,
animate the pans and stuff like that.
because
And
on Storyboard Pro you can do like up until layout Storyboard Pro, then
yeah,
just send it to Animator on Harmony or whatever.
yeah, but I doubt they used Toon Boom for the actual animation, so they probably just it was just Makoto Shinkai wanting to use it to just create the animatic as he went.
No, they animate on paper, on the Comics Wave
Oh yeah, yeah,
studio.
that makes sense. Um,
Anything else that you want to answer?
yeah, what do you see on what you see on media is a lot of finished Genga, which can be intimidating. How rough could you describe the earlier stages of animating for the pros, or is everyone super good like that? Yeah, I actually made a, a complaint. I complained when I was posting my original like Black Clover cuts because I was like, yeah, everyone shares their cleaned up Genga, but they don't share their layout because their layout
I
looks way
remember that one.
worse. Everyone's layout looks pretty bad.
Uh,
But it's also
uh,
kind of and it's not very informative for what the final's gonna look like because sometimes the animation director will just change stuff. Like they'll even go off model. You're like, oh okay, I guess we're going off model here.
it had happened to me a lot.
Yeah,
I'm actually trying to be a bit rougher.
yeah,
Uh, I am like
yeah.
on
It's
my
like
previous works.
the main point of layout is to figure out the problem. And as long as your characters are correctly proportioned, that's all that really matters.
Yeah, and the producers want the layout to be ready like as soon as possible. Second key, you can maybe spend more time like doing a model or whatever or correcting. They want to correct the layouts now, so you can be a bit rougher most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
You give them all the information they need to work. What I'm trying to do.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to just get faster because like I wanna get to 10 cuts a day. Like I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but because if I get to 10 cuts a day, then I can do 5 cuts a day, like for the first half of the day, and then the second half of the day I could just do Tonari stuff.
It would be amazing to
Yeah,
get
I
to
need
10
time to
cuts
make
a day.
more videos. Okay, so let's answer like a few more questions, and then we can end. Um, so
Pick the ones.
okay,
Pick them.
does a drawing tablet make any difference in drawing? Like, do the low budget tablets do bad and high budgets do any good? I think you get
I
what you pay
wouldn't.
for.
No.
Like with a lot of the Huon tablets, they have I think the canvas is really good, but I think the other ones, they have a really big distance between the glass and the screen, so it's hard to be precise. I think that's what matters the most personally, but another thing that matters is speed and lag. If you have a lot of lag, then it's hard to draw fast. So
My William pen display is very decent. Like maybe the screen is not as sophisticated like Cintiq, for example. It doesn't have that many colors or whatever, but for drawing it is pretty decent. For smaller tablets, I have just used Wacom, like pretty normal Wacoms, not the Pro lines, just the like the bamboo things, which are pretty very good. Like they're indestructible. uh, I've dropped it like hundreds of times and it still works.
Mine actually
I
broke.
have really.
Yeah, I had an Intuos and it broke, but
That's
it was the plug, because I wasn't using it wirelessly. I was using the wire, so I dropped it.
the
and then
wires.
it bent
The wires are they break
yeah.
sometimes. Yeah, you're right. But I haven't used other brands, so I wouldn't know. Ways, like drawing tablets are very simple, like devices. Like
Mhm.
they're not very sophisticated, so I don't know if there's really much difference.
Yeah.
Basically, just a mouse on steroid.
Yeah, I'm gonna really try out the I'm gonna try to get really into the iPad. I think there's a company that makes a screen protector for it that apparently makes it feel exactly like paper when you draw on it. So I'm gonna get one of those.
Cool.
Okay, last question. Do you storyboard in Clip Studio? I do, and I find it very nice. I just use the animation timeline for each page of the storyboard. I tried getting it. They have like some manga features where you can have like separate panels for different manga. Like there's probably a way to use that for storyboarding, but I find it easier to just flip through the pages with the animation shortcuts that I have.
I personally storyboard on paper.
Yeah, I actually did that once because I felt like I could be faster, but my storyboards were a lot looser because like you can only draw so precise with the pencil.
Can I answer the last two
Yeah.
questions? Do you have personal art outside of animation? No, because I don't have any time. But now I'm kind of on a small vacation, so I hope to be able to draw something like outside animation. And do you have to memorize Japanese notation? I have memorized some, but I have like a cheat file where I have all of them and I can just copy paste them.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to memorize what they are for, not necessarily how to write them.
There's some that are like essential that you need to memorize, and then there's some that as long as you know where the references are, you can just reference it whenever you need it. If you go to the Sakuga Foundry Discord, there's going to be a link to an anime resources page. If you go in there, there's a book download called Satsuma. That one is a really good kind of reference book. It has like really obscure stuff in it. I would highly recommend just having that. You don't have to read through all of it. It's good to read. It's good to read through it like once if you want to, because you'll kind of learn what's possible. But yeah, there's like notations for pretty much everything you can think of, like that one effect where I think it's called the Tyndall phenomenon. It's like when the light shines through
pure light effects.
Yeah, like the light shines through the tree leaves, stuff like that. Okay.
I would just draw the light and try to explain them because I don't know the notation.
Yeah, I think they actually will do like a layer that's just sitting on top of the cell that stays still. But I've seen some animes where they'll actually draw the lights passing over the characters and stuff. But okay. Well, anyways, guess that's it.
Are we done?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks everyone for coming, and thanks Beast for coming on.
Yeah, thank you. It was really fun. Thank you for the question, guys. It was really fun to answer all those.
Yeah, and if you guys are looking to join an animator community, Sakuga Foundry, I think I linked it earlier, and I think it's in the description too. But yeah, if you guys want to go there, meet other people that are interested in animation and get access to some resources, it's a good group to join. And for those of you that were asking about the Striving for Animation Discord, that is no longer ran by Tonari Animation, so you'll have to contact Will or Maxi in order to join that one.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
I'll after the stream. Actually, I'll just post the link. Is that it's not in the description? Okay, there it is.